Welcome to Therapeutic Intentions Podcast. My name is Stephanie Dingbaum. I am a mental health therapist, and I am so passionate about all things health and wellness, personal development, and empowering others to be their most authentic and best versions of themselves. Here at Therapeutic Intentions, we are all about having intentional and authentic conversations on whole body health, healing practices, mindset, and ways to uplevel your life so you can truly be the best version of you. If you are a woman, a mom, hope to someday be a mom, a healer, or just in a place where you want to start prioritizing yourself and your health, then this podcast is for you. I am so glad you're here. If you're ready, let's get to it. Hello. Welcome back to Therapeutic Intentions Podcast. This is Stephanie Dingbaum. This is the final collab of 2024, and I'm so excited, you guys. We have a phenomenal story for you today. I am bringing my friend Charity Kelchen on, and she's here today to talk to you guys all about how she overcame cancer and her healing journey. And so Charity and I have been friends, for a long time, you guys. Like, I first met Charity when I was a little girl. I grew up going to the same church as her. Gosh, I don't even know how many years it's been. Pretty much most of my life I've known of you. I remember when her daughter was born. I mean, like, we grew up in the same town, or I should say I grew up in the same town as her. I wouldn't say you grew up in this town, right?
Mom and I used to work together.
Yeah, Mom used to work with you back in the day. That's right. Yeah. So I've just always known Charity. We have grown a lot closer, though, I would say in the last, 5, maybe 10 years.
I would say for sure for the last 5.
Yeah. So we have this friend group. We call it the short bitches because literally all 5 of us ladies are short and tiny girls. And so we're all different ages, though. I mean, there's probably like a 15-year age gap between me and the oldest in the group. And so we have all just gotten really close over the last 5 years. Charity is a part of that group. And so we talk pretty much daily. And that group really supported Charity through her cancer journey. And I just thought, before transitioning the podcast, if you have been listening, the podcast is going through a rebranding in 2025. Before I transition out of health and wellness, I thought this would be the perfect collab to talk about the healing journey that Charity went through. So that's how I know Charity. I'm going to let Charity give a brief introduction about herself, and then we're going to just dive into her story.
Hello, Stephanie, and I'm so excited to be on here. I've kind of watched you grow through your little journey as well, and so it's kind of cool to be a part of this with you. So my name is Charity. I am married and have, between the two of us, we have 4 children. And I would say summer, I kind of knew something health-wise was not looking good for me. I was trying to be optimistic. I thought it was kind of a cyst. I found something in my right breast. And as the summer went on, it got larger and more of a tumorous field than a cyst. And I would say late September, early October, I went into see a regular doctor. I'm not a big doctor person. COVID kind of scared me from that. And even previous, my daughter had the HPV shot and actually had tons of hair thinning because of it. So I started,
I didn't realize that.
Started kind of doing a little research and kind of going down the rabbit hole, say that. So in October, I was diagnosed with metaplastic carcinoma, and it was a triple negative. And that's what I knew at that time. Yeah. Later on, I found out it was fungating, which means that it was growing outside of my chest. And I always knew, I guess previously, even from the diagnosis, that I did not want to do like chemo, and with the scare of modern medicine already, I just decided that I wanted to tackle this as natural and clean as I could. So I just kind of started to dive in and do what our body needs, what we need to heal, and following people who have actually done it in the past. So that's kind of where I started my journey.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. And then, like I said, I later found out, I would say, probably end of November, early December, around this time of year last year, we figured out that it was a fungating because it had actually grew to the point that it punctured through my breast. And then in March, it was I was actually on hospice come the end of February. It
was a pretty scary time.
It was very scary. It was very, very scary.
We were helping out as much as we could behind the scenes, and it was a pretty scary time. Yeah.
And I would definitely would say, by February I was put on hospice, and I actually thought, I looked at it more like it was the next direction where the hospice kind of at first. Now I think my hospice nurse, actually, she told me, she's like, I'm so thankful you kept fighting. So, but they would look at me like I was already dead, but I was looking at it as an opportunity to give my husband a break because he was my caregiver for 24 hours a day. So
for those of you that don't know Charity, Jeff is a truck driver.
Yes.
Was a truck driver, is a truck driver. And he literally stopped working so that he could be home to take care of Charity night and day. Because with your tumor, you had to twice a day get the bandages.
Well, at the end of it, I would say before I had the emergency mastectomy, we were down to probably every 2 to 3 hours because I had lymphatic system that was draining so bad. And I was starting to have these little bleeders because when you have a fungating tumor, it kind of creates its own blood vessels and they kind of go haywire. So that was ultimately what I was fighting. It wasn't necessarily the tumor that was attacking. I mean, it was because it was draining all of my nutrition. It was funny. I ate a lot of food and it just seemed like I was hungry all the time. And I mean, between my husband changing my bandages and then constantly feeding me, it seemed like, and then he was taking care of our family. I mean, we still have a teenage daughter left at home and doing all the things for her. And so
it was a full-time job. Him being your caretaker was definitely a full-time job.
Yes.
So what would you say, when people ask you what your approach was to treating this, what do you tell people?
Well, I tried to do everything very clean, and it was so divine how my story actually come together because I had just different people who did things organically themselves or I met previously. I actually got a lot of the things that I used from a gal that I met at a Christian retreat several years prior, and we've served several years together. And her husband actually had prostate cancer and has been clean 3 years. But she gave me tons of support and ideas.
For nutrition, you mean?
For nutrition, for the big thing that I was doing was I was doing cannabis oil.
Yeah, talk more about that.
I was doing, originally I started doing 3 suppositories of oil as a suppository, which it does not get you stoned or anything. I mean, you can if you put it too far in, you go past that magic spot. But so I was doing 3 of those a day, and then twice a day I was doing a tincture orally, which was CBG, CBN, and CBD. Sorry. Okay. So the syringes were a high THC, and I believe it had CBD in it. Wow. Again, I don't know a lot about what that is, but I believe in it so much. And the more I dig into that, I believe that that's what kept the tumor contained and not spread throughout my body, because I've been told a gazillion times, or shocked by even when I did finally go to Western medicine, that they thought that it should have been throughout my whole body. So I really believe that. And
so they were surprised it hadn't spread. Western medicine providers.
Yes. And actually the surgeon, because in March I did end up having, because the bleeding got so carried away, I did end up having to go to the ER for my very first ambulance ride.
Against your will, initially.
Against my will. But life or death. I actually had this bleeder that they say I was probably 20 minutes away from death.
I had no idea. You've never told me that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Charity.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had lost quite a bit of blood.
Yeah.
And so essentially life or death, they said. And I was told that if it was a different surgeon, that they might have said, hey, I don't know what to do for you. Better go see an oncology and, bye, see you later. So I was very fortunate to get the surgeon that I got.
I would say we're lucky in this area. We don't have a giant hospital here in Delaware County, here in Eastern Iowa, but we're about 90 minutes from a pretty, it's the University of Iowa hospital. But I would say for the small hospital that we do have here in Manchester, there are a few providers that I just think we are so lucky to have, your surgeon being one of them. So,
and that's something that will always just ring to me, is when we did go into this emergency situation. I was on hospice at the time, and my husband was like, maybe we should take her to Iowa City, whatever. I want to make sure that we're doing, we were trying to save my life, at this time.
Yeah.
And the hospice nurse said, Iowa City has tons of the top equipment, but that doesn't mean that they have the top doctors.
That's fair.
So that made him feel a lot more comfortable about staying in our small community.
Just giving you both a peace of mind.
Yes. And it rings true.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the teaching hospital that it is, but
Agreed.
it's true,
Absolutely.
So,
and besides like the CBD, besides the suppositories, besides the surgery, there were also like some like holistic and spiritual healing practices that you really got into during this journey, right?
I did. You and I did some sound healing, which I love that. I did do some energy healing. And for me, that was more like almost a therapeutic. I got to do a lot of healing from past traumas, kind of just dig into myself a little bit and what I needed to kind of uncover and heal from, because that is important too. Like anything that they say that breast cancer is a broken heart disease. I've heard that a gazillion times.
Okay.
Which, kind of makes sense, because my husband and I's marriage has been rocky for years, which this has literally had saved it. Going through, that was one of the blessings of this, but I had two granddaughters that were in the University of Iowa hospital at the same time with health issues. We've had some trying times, and I love my family with all my heart. So that weighs heavily. So I'm learning new ways to process that. So I'm not taking on that, the health risks of that, and still loving my family.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
If you are short or petite in any way, then listen up. This ad is for you. Did you know that nearly half of all women in the US are 5'4" or under, therefore considered petite? Being petite should not mean compromising on your style. For years, I shopped in the children's section at certain stores just to be able to find clothes that fit me somewhat decently without needing to be hemmed or altered. Even when I did shop in the adult section, it was always difficult to find clothes that came in extra small, or even worse, extra small. The only way to find petite clothes was for me to order online. But that meant not being able to try them on or know if they fit correctly or not. When I finally did find some loyal companies that actually sold my sizes, I still almost always needed alterations to be done. Either the arms were too long, the pants were too long, or the waist was still wider than I'd like. I felt like I was not asking for too much to be able to have clothes that fit me to a T without needing to spend extra money getting clothes altered. Due to the poor fit in clothes, I had grown to hate shopping. Seriously, you guys, I never looked forward to it, especially knowing I wasn't going to find something that fit me just right. This frustration led me to researching style boxes in hopes that maybe, just maybe, I could find a style box to accommodate my petite size. Initially, I hit dead end after dead end. Either they didn't offer petite options or they didn't go down to extra small in sizes, which is what I needed. All my prayers were answered one day when I stumbled upon a clothes subscription box called Short Story. Short Story's mission is to help petite women dress with total confidence. They acknowledge that fashion has never been petite friendly, and they are completely rewriting the rules. Amazing, right? They have clothes for petites of all sizes, all heights, and all shapes. Even better, they get their inspiration directly from their buyers, people like you and me who subscribe to them. They literally create and design their clothing lines using our specific feedback. How freaking amazing is that, you guys? There's so much I love about Short Story, but I'll keep it short and sweet so you can get back to the show. First things first, you can order boxes monthly, bi-monthly, every 3 months. You can personalize it to your own specific shopping needs, which is awesome. No more ordering online, going into stores. I get my box monthly and it always comes with 7 items. I would say on average, I keep anywhere from 4 to 6 of the items depending on the month. And another added benefit, when I started, I took their styling quiz and gave them my specific measurements for my entire body. We're talking bust, waist, height, arm length, etc., which means no more alterations. Everything fits my arms, my legs, all of it. It's like, I don't know, I feel like I have my own personal stylist. It makes me feel like a freaking rock star. And after each box, I'm able to give my stylist feedback on the items she sent and requests that I have for future boxes. So I'm always getting my fashion needs met depending on what time of year we're in and what I'm looking for and what events I might have coming up. I am always satisfied too, because it's pretty rare for my requests to not be granted, not gonna lie. Finally, when you fill out your styling quiz in the beginning, you get to tell them your price point, what you can and can't afford, what style you prefer, what you like, what you don't like when it comes to clothing, and you can give them access to your Pinterest style board, which, truth be told, best thing I ever did for myself. I literally have manifested my Pinterest style board in real life, you guys, because they look at it each month, and if I pin new items to it, they'll try and send me items that I've pinned or close to it. Talk about an added bonus. It's just amazing. So seriously, I feel like I've bragged enough. I'm sure you get the point by now. Short Story is for petites of all ages, all sizes. If you are 5'4" and under, this is the subscription box for you. No more shopping in stores. Let your clothes come directly to you. Hopefully, this will then save you time. I know we all need more of that, and money in the long run. I wouldn't be recommending a company that I myself don't strongly support and believe in personally. I have been a loyal subscriber of Short Story for over 6 years now, and I am so proud of it. Be honest. If you are short or petite like me, wouldn't you love to show up at professional events or family gatherings feeling confident in what you're wearing, knowing that it came tailored to your specific fashion needs? If you're intrigued at all, go into my show notes for today's episode and use the referral link that I put in there. This link will waive your $25 styling fee for your first box. If you are anything like me and you're ready to up-level your style, show up as that next level version of yourself, and feel like $1,000,000, then subscribe to Short Story today. I promise you will not regret it. All links will be in my show notes for today's episode.
So I'm curious, as you were going through this journey, so I would say you primarily fought it holistically, but obviously without the surgery, it may not have ended as it had.
I would have bled to death, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So the surgery definitely was necessary, but outside of surgery, you pretty much fought it as holistically as you could.
I did. And in the beginning, I did too. Oh my gosh, yes. And I initially, because as soon as I knew that it was a tumor, even before the doctors told me, I quickly dug into what I should be doing, changing my diet. And
yes,
literally very quickly, I felt better just by doing that.
Yeah. It gave you like a boost of energy.
It did. Yeah. And even the coffee and caffeine and the
alcohol,
things that I needed, I thought I needed to get through the day to keep me alive, to do all the things, but I didn't need anymore because I was feeding my body the natural things that energize me. Yeah. So I noticed that in it. And now on this side of this, my husband actually can attest of it too. Like he can feel better. And we very rarely, use those things. And my husband's getting a lot better, but
but it's, I always go back to like, it's our journey, not necessarily
yes.
theirs.
And he's in, it was literally,
he has come a long ways.
He was hiding Little Debbie treats and when I was really sick. And I would say it was probably 2 weeks because I did end up having to have radiation because it was very aggressive. But 2 weeks out, before I was done with radiation, he was finally like said, Charity, holy cow, you're right. Like I started changing the way I eat. I feel better. And look at this video and send me all this. So, but back to, I guess, the journey of it. So I had the mastectomy in March and we thought it was really a successful surgery. I felt very good.
Yeah.
The tumor came out in one lump and 8 pounds.
8 pounds. It's like a baby. She was carrying a baby under her armpit.
Yes. I guess, and this is another reason why I really just feel strongly about the cannabis is and this is a little TMI, but because of all the antibiotics that I was on, and then everything else that was going on with my body, I had hemorrhoids so bad. I just wanted to take a break down there and I stopped using I was still doing the CBD, CBG, and CBN tincture, but I stopped taking the suppositories for about a month. And in that month's time, it was bubbling up and started to regrow.
Wow.
So
that quickly.
Like
less than 30 days.
Less than 30 days.
Okay.
So
that's amazing.
I did, and we were actually at a crunch time at that point because my surgeon was like, well, I think we need to do radiation. At this point, I trusted everything that he did for me. And I wanted to also add in this surgeon. When I was right before I was going into my surgery, this surgeon was kind of going over the procedure and he actually stepped like he was going away and he turned back and he asked if I was a Christian and asked if he could pray with me. Yeah. And my whole room, and I had everybody in there. Yeah. Yeah. And we all held hands and prayed. And I'm telling you, the Holy Spirit was swimming through that room.
I believe it. Yeah.
Beautifully. And my husband said later to me, he's like, I knew that when I sent you back there with them, it was Jesus performing that surgery. So God has been with me the whole time. Like I cannot even tell you how divine this journey has been. And even looking back now, I mean, even on where I'm going now, but, but anyway, so
how many weeks of radiation did you have to have after surgery?
So, initially, and I kind of want to touch this because it was kind of remarkable as well. So because of it growing back, we were detoured to the radiation and we started that journey. And again, the bleeding was happening and insurance was fighting on the type of scans that they wanted me to get. So I had to do the scans before I could start the radiation process. And they were had that scheduled. Well, then they called and they said, well, insurance didn't want to do this scan, but they'll cover that scan sort of thing. And they wanted me to schedule out. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like I'm already starting to bleed. And they end up calling me back. We end up going in that day, getting the scan. And they're like, we're going to put you on a waiting list. Cause I was still like another week out before I seen the radiologist. And they got the scan done. I got in to see the radiologist. And then while we were talking then the consolation thing of it, my husband's like, well, we're going to be here all day. Like my sister-in-law or my sister, it's his sister, my sister-in-law lives in town. Like we can spend the whole day if you want to try to sneak us in at the end of the day. And he's like, hold on a second. And he walked out because he's like, this takes a whole team to kind of do what we got to do. Like I need to see if there's people available. And he's like, hold on a second. And he left the room and he wasn't even gone like 5 minutes. And he comes back. He's like, we're going to do this right now. So I got 3 appointments done in one day, but it was probably about a week and a half before I started the first radiation. And it had grown so fast in that week and a half time that I had to be what they call remapped again. And usually when people go in for radiation, you're usually mapped one time and you're done. I was mapped, was it 7 times? 5? Gosh, now I can't remember. Wasn't even that long ago, but 5 times, I think. But because of the amount that it changed. At first it was growing so intensely, but then about halfway through, it started shrinking that fast as well. So, but it was chained. They had never attacked this type of tumor in the way. Well, for one, most people are dead in 6 months.
Yes. With the fungating tumor.
The fungating tumor. Because I was told probably 3 times that I wasn't going to make it past the new year.
Yep. I remember that.
So needless to say, they adjusted. They had a plan kind of set, but they adjusted as we went. And I think I was initially set up to do 32 or 35 radiation sessions, and that actually turned into 40. So
wow,
yeah,
a lot,
and that was because I remember the second to last day that I was set to do the radiation. I said, "So you're not going to extend it anymore?" He's like, "No, you're pretty much at your limit right now." Okay. So yeah, I had what I think a person could take.
So after those 40, did you notice a significant difference?
Oh, it had slowly. I mean, it was at this point by the 40th, the last radiation appointment, there was a big chunk that was black. And I mean, it really was gross.
Yeah.
Gruesome. And at this point, I smell. I know I remember sending you guys.
We made jokes about your smell. Like, gosh.
Yeah, because I smell like I thought for a little while there, I thought I had a dead mouse in my house. Yeah. And here it was me. I'm like, it's me. I'm this dead mouse.
I'm glad you can laugh about it now.
And I had to laugh at it then. I mean, and it was exciting because it was dying.
Yeah, so, which is what you want, right?
Yeah. So, but the last, I got to go see my surgeon that same day of the last radiation appointment, and between him and my husband, they held up and they kind of cut most of it off, and there wasn't really much left. And then through, I think they said 2 to 3 months, that's when the radiation still would work. And by then it would, I mean, I could literally see it disappearing. And in October, I got a clean scan. The oncologist literally whipped up the door and like, well, we can't find anything. And I'm like, so like, it's all gone, right? And she's like, yep, we can't find anything.
That was just 2 months ago. It's so wild.
Yes. It was a very, very long year here, but in the same sense, it seems so far away. And
I agree.
And so short at the same time.
So I'm just curious, did you ever receive any, well, I know, but for listeners, can you talk about any of the pushback or skepticism that you got from other people, and not just people, but like providers?
I would say initially and in the beginning of my journey, it was very hard fighting. For one, the word protocol, what insurance wants you to do, what the you fit in the box. Yeah. So I did not want to do a mammogram. Mammograms, what I know about them, they cause the same thing that you're trying to prevent. Yes. So to me, it just didn't make sense. And that was one thing that I was trying to avoid, and did in the end. Thank goodness I found somebody who was willing to help me fight, and they did. Yeah.
And that's how you found out about thermography. Yes. Through that whole journey. Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I heard about thermography actually from my friend who gave me all the ideas from the cannabis and stuff like that.
Okay. Yes. Gotcha.
Yep. So I did have an ultrasound, which I got to skip the mammogram, but they did want me to go after I had the biopsy and they stabbed me 7 times to get those. They wanted me to go back to go into the mammogram, and they were trying to argue with me. But so at first, yes, I got a little scrutiny. It was very hard to go and see a doctor in the beginning of it, because for one, they told you all the statistics and the things you don't want to hear. And it's hard to get out of when you're trying to heal, because I really believe your mental state is huge in healing. And
it's hard, I think, like just being this rural part of the country that we're in, I think it's hard too, because people talk. And so it doesn't take long for word to get around about, oh, did you hear so-and-so had cancer? And, oh, did you hear she's not following doctor's orders? And it's like,
and I did hear
that was very frustrating hearing that.
I did hear a little bit of that in the beginning. Again, at the end of it, when I had the mastectomy, like the doctors looked at me differently.
Yeah.
They could see what I was trying to do. Did I believe, I guess, that, you know, they could see the things that I was doing. And I get treated a lot. Actually, I just had my 3-month appointment with my radiologist, and I kind of felt like a celebrity going in there because the nurses were actually, they told me as I came up that they were trying to figure out if it was me over there sitting there, but I looked more alive, I'm assuming. But and my husband was usually with me, but they're like, we didn't even recognize you. So and I'm I mean, like, they don't hear the good news a lot. I don't believe.
That's
so
pretty accurate.
It's been different on this side of it. As far as the cannabis, especially now that I'm healed and I'm being a lot more vocal about it. My friends, my family, ironically have all been so surprised or so supportive. And now on this side of it, I actually have had a couple of people in the quote unquote stereotypical business, world tell me that they use cannabis or CBD or whatever. So people use it more than people even realize that they do. So they're not alone.
Right.
And then once you go down the journey and learn about it, I mean, and then even the history of it, like that's where I would start a lot of the things that you look to go do your own research.
Right.
Look at the history of medicine. Look at the history of cannabis. Look at where it all derives from and how successful they were. That's what will speak truth. Because to me, I see the medical world and their prescriptions and a lot more disease. So show me the proof and I'll learn and change. I mean, and I'm still doing that. Like as I learn, I change my diet or, and that's how I've done it from the very beginning. From the beginning, I was doing all raw for one point in time. There was 2 weeks I ate nothing but watermelon and grapes.
I remember that week. I remember that. Yeah.
I still can't quite eat grapes, but
it's funny. I don't.
Every once in a while, they sound good, and I have a little bit, but still just not. But that was kind of what I did. It was just what I felt was gonna heal my body, or let my body heal itself, because God did not make a mistake in how he designed us. Look in everything in nature. Look at how a baby's born, to how our cut heals on our, I don't know. That's just how my mentality is, I guess.
Yeah. Is there anything that, like, looking back at your mindset growth through this journey, is there anything you want to share about that? About how, like, you put in a lot of work just to get yourself to stay focused on the positives, and how was that journey for you?
Well, and anybody who can test that has battled cancer or any disease that is life-threatening, I think the roller coaster of it is just, it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows me I hate roller coasters, but, ultimately, and I've learned so much. And I mean, prior to all this, I would have thought that I was this positive, very strong-willed, confident woman. I really thought I was. I would agree. And this really caused me to really, for one, showed me how loved I am. I mean, I really think that's been the biggest thing out of all of this is I think that I needed to be shown the love that I was shown. And I was shown a lot of love.
How humbling this whole journey was for you.
It was very much humbling. So I think that was part of it, but just constantly learning and just being a better person. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're learning and trying to be a better person, like, who can hold you back from that?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe just received a cancer diagnosis, going through what you went through?
Take some time. One thing that I early on, I started following, like I said, people that had done this before. Chris Wark, W-A-R-K, is a big one that I initially started with. And his big thing is, for one, you didn't get cancer overnight. So just take a minute to evaluate the situation and do your own research and be your own advocate, because doctors, yes, they know a lot about the disease per se, but they don't know a lot about nutrition. And then that's not to their fault. They're just not educated.
Right.
And ultimately that's how our body is made. I mean, our God had given us all these foods and the sun and the ground and the soil and all this stuff to help us get healthy. Like we need to go back to, like, I think at a point in the universe where we need to just step back from going forward in technology and step back to how they used to do things, because we have caused so many issues. And when people start to play God, this is what happens. It's not good.
Yeah, I would agree. And what I think it's important for listeners to know, when, your piece of advice was like, take the time. So when Charity got her diagnosis, when she found out how serious it was, she stopped working. And I'm not saying that like to applaud her. Like, listen, like money was very tight for them. It's not like, I mean, yes, you had savings, but it's not like they were living this big and rich lifestyle. So they lived off of her husband's income until he had to be home taking care of her full time. And then they literally, you lived off of what you had in savings?
Yeah, I mean, my husband is an over-the-road truck driver, so he had enough. I mean, he had a good, it kept us a year, but he had to replace his engine in his semi. So that's what he had saved up for. I mean, we were using his slush fund basically for repairs and things for that. I mean,
right.
So, I mean, it is what it is. And we also had tons of love. Like you said, there was tons of people who had helped us out and loved on us. And
we started a meal train for you guys. And so groceries was not as big of an issue. And what you probably would have spent on groceries, you were able to spend on supplements or on whatever it was that you were needing.
Well, and it's not even the grocery, it was the time, because my husband wouldn't eat, or he would wait until he was too tired to eat, and then he just didn't eat, and then he would eat crap himself. So it was more than just even the food, it was people's time. And we were showed a lot of love. Like I couldn't have done this without my friends, my family, my husband, and my family couldn't have done it without the community. I'm a small town girl, and this is just another reason why I love small towns and the love of a small community.
But I do think taking that time off from work was a huge blessing, even though money was tight for you guys, because stepping out of that hustle culture is so good for your mindset. It's so good for your body. It's so good for the healing journey. I know it's not always realistically an option for everyone, but I do think stepping out of that was good. And
even going forward, Stephanie, I don't plan on going back full time, because my health, I should say, not healthcare. My health is, if I continue or live the lifestyle that I lived prior to this, I'll die. I will plain and simply get sick and die again. So, but I'm also saving money in so many other aspects as well. So, I mean, because we're doing gardening. I'm learning more, I don't know, home stuff.
Right. I would agree.
Approaches, and want to be more self-sufficient. So, and in time, hopefully, maybe I'll figure out a way to maybe make a buck with something like that. But right now, we're focusing on slowing down. It's a choice. Everybody, I'm so busy. I don't have time. You do. I mean,
and people wear that like it's a badge of honor. Like, it's so annoying. And that's what has motivated me with the business.
It actually breaks my heart when people, now on this side, it's like, I'm sorry, you don't have that piece. You think that you have to do that. But I was that person. I mean, and the same with eating like crap. I was that person that ate like crap and didn't think it was going to happen to me.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. That was my big motivator with the business, honestly, is like, I want to be able to slow down and not feel guilty about it. And obviously, like the first year of business, you're building it and all that. But I truly believe, like going into year 2 now, that I will be able to intentionally have that downtime, because I built it into my business. And yeah, I guess for all of you listeners, like if you subscribe to that hustle culture, I believe that actually plays into the sickness in our world
Mm-hmm.
just as much as any trauma does, just as much as any unhealed grief does. I believe that living in this hustle culture where we wear like a badge of honor around having this crazy busy lifestyle, I think that can lead to sickness just as much as any of those other factors.
It's a big, huge circle. Like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
not one thing that caused me to be sick.
Right.
It was the whole big picture, and it was
Yeah.
the whole big picture that helped me heal as well.
Yeah.
And one thing that was something that was said was, it's a lot easier to keep your health than to have to regain your health.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
So try to make the changes now.
Yeah, do it as a
Don't be dumb
proactive
like me.
journey. Don't wait for the diagnosis. Yeah. Yeah, that's a
And
really
unfortunately,
good point.
we're in just such a toxic world right now. It's getting better. Like I think that, like, look what's happening at Kellogg's and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Baby steps.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's exciting, but we everything that we are around. I mean, even going outside anymore, which is so sad.
Right.
At times cannot be. It's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
You have to watch what's being sprayed in the fields or what's sprayed in the clouds.
Yeah. You're exactly right.
But I think it's an exciting time because there is an awakening happening.
There totally is. I agree. I mean, you've shared, as you've been sharing your story, you've shared a lot of like little messages of hope and encouragement that you got through this journey. But what would you say has been just some of the like big takeaways, big lessons that you got from this entire year plus journey of going through overcoming cancer?
For one, I love my family.
Yeah.
And the time that time is so precious. It's not all the things. It's not, and the things that you think that is going to make you mad, or the thing, calm down. It's so the
pick
things
your battles.
Pick your battles, and it's okay to do the self-care things, and I don't know, just slowing down a lot. I mean, for sure, and smiling and just taking in the little pleasures, and their blessings and everything, even because this world is never promised to not have the crap, because no matter what, we're going to have the crap. We live in a broken world, but how you process through it, how you deal through that, and I guess that's probably the biggest thing. And then learn about your health, and you're the only advocate that you have. I would say that is, do your own research. Even I will have to say, when I seen the oncologist, she wanted to set up which will be in the January, for the 3-month scan. And they put the nuclear medicine in you. Have you ever had that?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It literally, as it's going into your vein, you can feel your body warming up, and when it gets down to your bladder, it literally feels like you're peeing your pants.
Oh my god,
it's the worst feeling ever.
What?
So when she's like, okay, so you're all good, and she's like, can we do a scan in 3 months just to check on you? I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but can we try to do something? Can we do something without the nuclear medicine? And she's like, oh yeah, we can do that. All I really need that for is that gives me a better picture of your liver. We can do an ultrasound for that. It's like, well, why?
Then why are we just not doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, always ask the questions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And don't feel weird about asking the questions. Like, who cares what the provider thinks? You got to remember, like, they don't know what they don't know. And they know what they were taught in med school, what they specialize in, but they don't know about they don't always know about how nutrition impacts the healing journey. They don't always know about how energy healing impacts your healing journey, sound healing. They don't always know how your mindset can impact your healing journey. Like, they are focused on their area of specialty only. So it's okay to push back. It's okay to ask questions. They might not like it, but you got to have a hard outer shell, because you can't take it personal every time a provider looks at you weird because you're pushing back, or maybe gives you that judgmental look because you're not agreeing with them. That you have to be your own advocate. Ultimately.
And your body is all one.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Like when you go, you talked about specialties. Like the more I learn that you shouldn't be is your body. Like, you're stubbing your toe could affect something, in
Mentally.
your head.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, that's just how your body works once you understand your body. So.
I agree. I always tell clients, like, you don't hold on to grudges. I mean, learn to access forgiveness, because that grudge, that resentment can show up as a tumor. It can show up as a disease, as a disorder. Like, bring healing to that, because mentally and physically we're all connected.
Yes, exactly.
So it's worth it to do that healing.
Yes, for sure.
So what's next for you moving forward? And I mean, you've got the clean scan last time you went in. What do you want to do with the story? What are you hoping to do in the future?
I don't know. I've been told by a few people that I should write a book. I'm not there yet. I right now I'm actually speaking to about 3 people, one locally and 2, one in Colorado and one in Pennsylvania. So
just like one-on-one, like talking
to them that are there on their own cancer journey.
So you're mentoring. I
wouldn't say mentoring, but I'm trying to be the person that somebody was there for me.
Yeah, so, what you needed. Yeah.
Some direction if they need direction. I give back, because I was gifted something amazing. And at first that was, I mean, stuff that at first when I was gifted this, it was very, very heavy, because this is a miracle.
Yes, it is a miracle. Yep.
I mean, statistically, I'm not, which another reason why you don't go down the Google hole.
Yes.
Because statistics lie.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just swimming through it yet. It was very heavy at first I need to do something. And right now I'm come to just enjoy it. And I'm just living and enjoying my people. And, I don't know exactly what it's hard to plan. I haven't gotten to plan for a whole year. So planning right now is hard.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, you definitely have this story that needs to be shared, and you're not shy about sharing it.
No, I have. I mean, especially with the cannabis, because I think that people have this tainted look on it. So that is definitely something that I do want to shout.
Good.
And then health and nutrition as well.
Yeah.
I will try to use it wherever I'm.
Good.
I'm not a public speaker by any means.
But you have done it.
I have broccoli, but I have.
Yeah. Maybe that's a new skill for you.
I'm working on it. But I'm just enjoying. And right now, like I said, it's a year over. Yeah. So like right now, I couldn't wrap presents last year. Right. So when I was wrapping presents, it was just like, I don't like wrapping presents, but I get to do that.
Exactly.
I'm
and same with work. It's like, even if you do go back to work, even if it's like part-time or even less than part-time, it's like your mindset won't be like, I have to work. I feel like now it's going to be, I get to do this.
And it won't be something that stresses me.
No, exactly.
I don't want anything that, I'm going to, yes, I understand people need to make money, but you also should be enjoying, and not that I didn't enjoy my job before, but I did have a promotion, and I know that put some extra stress on me as well, but I don't want stress-free is where I'm at, because for one, it's not worth it. And
in a healthy environment and all the things.
Yep.
If one of our listeners wants to connect with you to learn more about your story, or if they want to reach out to you, what would be the best way?
Well, I'm on Instagram, but I'm very terrible at it.
Minimally.
I'm terrible at it. I am on Facebook. Message.
So I can put that in our show notes.
You sure can.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to give out my number, but I don't want to shut people off, because I'm happy to talk about my story and help to direct people in theirs as well.
So we'll put Charity's Facebook in the show notes if you want to private message her that way. If you have questions, if you want to hear more details, if you are going through your own journey and you want her support, definitely reach out to her. Anything else you want to share before we wrap things up?
Oh, I don't think so. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So like I said, this is our last collab of 2024. We're 2 days away from Christmas. And when this airs, Christmas will be over. It's airing the final Monday of the year. So,
well, Happy New Year.
Yes. So I end all my collabs with rapid fire questions. So Charity, what's a book that you're currently reading?
I'm reading. I'm more of a video or a listener or a video person, but
yes.
I do have 2 books that I've been slowly reading, and one is The Good Energy by Casey Means. Casey and Callie Means are a good source of nutrition, and one comes from surgical, and the other one comes from pharmaceutical. So very knowledgeable people. Also, Fast Like a Girl, which is Mindy Peltz, which talks about fasting, which is kind of my new, I'm very intrigued and need to do more of it.
Yeah,
but
that's interesting.
Yes.
I know you talked about that when you were going through the journey about how much you learned about fasting. So I feel like that's probably a whole nother podcast. You could talk about that because that's a pretty...
And I'm not the expert, but it's definitely, I know that there's a lot of health benefits in that as well.
I would agree. Yeah. What is one thing currently that you can't live without?
My family, my husband. That's number one. I mean, when you see the end of...
Yeah.
Because I literally was praying for death probably before I had my mastectomy because I was that bad. I was just have the goodwill to my kids and my husband and my friends, and your people are what actually matters the most.
I would agree. What's a current go-to podcast that you're listening to?
I don't really listen to just one particular. I mean, of course, Stephanie Dingbaum's.
Oh yeah, Therapeutic Intentions podcast.
I'm a big listener and everything of just learning, and so I don't have one specific that I go to. I would say Cannabis Health Radio, maybe, because I was also on that podcast as well.
Yeah. I'll link I have that saved in my email. I'll link that episode in the show notes if you guys want to hear her story again. That was also a really good listen. It kind of hits all the feels. I listened to it after your scan, I think was when I listened to it. And I was not anticipating it hitting me, but it definitely broke out the tears. It was a very good listen. Yeah. Awesome. What is your favorite therapeutic activity that you intentionally make time for in your life?
Reading my Bible. I try to anyway, getting with God. That's number one.
Love.
I would like to do something more regularly, just in general, but detoxing. Jeff and my husband and I are actually looking at purchasing a sauna. So
shut up, you guys! This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Oh my god!
Yes, so we're learning about that because that is important. So, and both of us could. I mean, actually, my daughter is pretty excited about it too. So, a lot of health benefits in that.
I would pay you to use that.
We're actually talking about putting a box on the outside.
Okay,
like a help pay for fun.
Donations accepted for real. Oh my gosh, good for you.
Yes. So that is something that we are looking forward to as far as our health goes. For our whole family anyway. So
awesome. Well, Charity, thank you for agreeing to come on. Thank you for being the collab that ends this year. The podcast has been going strong for 9 months, and before going in the rebranding, I just felt very strongly that I needed to share your story, and the universe just kept really nudging me in that direction. And so I'm glad that you felt that it aligned with you also, because I don't like bringing people on that aren't ready for that or aren't comfortable with that. But I just felt very strongly you have a story that needs to be told, and your throat chakra is ready to be wide open. And so I appreciate it.
I agree. And that's why I'm doing it.
Yes. Yeah, she did it successfully. No, but thank you.
Thank you.
Story, it needs to be shared. And I just am really grateful that it came out the way it did. And so thank you for sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Steph.
All right, guys. So like I said, like we both said, have a happy new year. And if you are intrigued about the rebranding of the podcast, stay tuned because there is a solo episode coming. Well, it came out last week. Talking all about the rebranding. So if you're intrigued by that, go back an episode, listen to that episode, and I share all the details of the rebranding. The name is changing. The whole look of the podcast is changing. So I really hope that if you've been a long-time listener that you still resonate with the podcast, or if you don't and you think of someone else in your life that it could really resonate with, please share it. If you found this episode really helpful and you thought of somebody in your life who needs to hear it, pass it on, share it in your stories on social media. Just the more people we can share this with, the better. And please don't forget to rate and review the podcast. I really appreciate it. It just helps to get more listeners to find me out there in the podcast world. So thank you guys. Happy New Year. And until next time, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to us. It means so much to me. If there were any aha moments or anything that really resonated with you on today's episode, then please take a minute and share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you. Also, if you could, please rate and review the podcast as it is new, and that really helps to get the word out there more and reach even more listeners. I'll catch you on the next episode.